Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineers.
Hey everybody, welcome to another fantastic and fabulous Ask an Engineers. We're broadcasting live from downtown Manhattan in the Adafruit factory in this little nook where we have crammed myself, Lady Ada, the engineer, Phil on camera control, and today's special guest,
John Janier.
John Janier, who you can tell by the things is who the engineer you can ask questions of because he's saying Ask an Engineer.
Yeah.
Now's a good time to ask him all sorts of photo stuff, but later. First.
That's right.
Much things on the show.
On tonight's show, the code is Alta Vista. John Janier will tell us
Whoa,
why.
it's totally like the 90s.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
We'll talk about the show and tell, some awesome stuff that was on the show. Some great news in the world of makers. We'll talk about that. Some sad news in the world of tech. Some interesting news in the world of makers and open source and Arduino. We'll have Packet the Mailbag, the Adafruit Learning System, Wearable Wednesday, 3D Thursday, Pi Day. We'll talk about John, all the stuff he's taking photos of at Adafruit, and more. We'll have some new products. We'll have some top secret stuff.
Ooh.
We'll answer your questions. We'll have a trivia question. All that and more on Ask an Engineer.
And stay tuned for the entire hour because we have a new photo of MOSFET.
Yeah, we got a photo of MOSFET.
That's the special
Even
treat.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's super special treat.
All right.
Okay.
So welcome, John.
Yes.
Thank you.
John is now a New Yorker. You moved to New York.
Yes, I did.
This is one of the reasons you're here.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you like it so far, being in New York?
It's great. I
Yeah.
love it.
You were commuting a little bit further.
You can't possibly be a New Yorker if you say I love you. You'd be like, it's okay.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's all right.
And next up, as soon as you become a resident of New York, the next thing is jury duty because
Right.
you're instantly going
They will
to
call you for jury
be
duty.
added. For the folks who don't know, John Janier is our director of imaging here at Adafruit. He's been part of Adafruit for years and recently joined Adafruit, and also you're an engineer.
Yes.
So John's one of the people I like to call a triple threat, and that was back in like the Fred Astaire days, someone who can sing, dance, and act. John's
Yeah.
one of those people.
That's like analog, digital, and RF.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. All right, let's pay some bills.
Instead of RF, I do photons.
He does photons.
Same thing.
Which is the same thing.
All right, the code is Alta Vista. 10% off everything in stock if we stocked it in the 90s now. 10% off everything in stock in the Adafruit
Is
store.
that the Alta Vista logo?
Yeah.
That's
one
like
of
the
them.
last one, the
Okay.
original one that everybody
It's like a
remembers.
mountain.
So,
Yeah.
John, you suggested.
Okay. What possessed you?
Well, because Alta Vista is still running. They're shutting it down on Monday.
Man.
July 8th. They're
July
shutting it
8th.
down.
Because the Google had a little bit more filtering than Alta Vista, so it's like if
Yeah.
you really wanted to like dig down and find like a really obscure thing, sometimes Alta Vista would have it. It was a very good search engine though. It's quite good.
Yeah, when they started it, it was a subdomain on digital.com.
Yeah.
So you'd be like altavista.digital.com. And it was great because it was the time before SEO. So when you would search for something, you'd actually get results relevant to that rather than...
before spammers had figured out
Yeah, it was awesome.
how to game it.
So that's
The
the
good
code
old
for that.
days.
Yeah. All right, let's hit the show and tell. As you know, on the show and tell, every single week we have people show up from around the world to show their projects.
Okay.
This
start
week.
this project. First up, Lenora showed up and she had like this foam speaker thing that she made out of a King Tut float that she made for some event, and she's just like, I'm not going to throw away this King Tut head. So she like turned it into like a resonant speaker cavity. Go Tut. Whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it was cool. I mean,
Yeah, it was
a
very
big
cool.
Head. And I don't know how good it sounded, but whatever music she was playing, which was like pretty like industrial, it did sound quite loud. So I guess
Yeah,
foam
worked out.
works well.
I like the idea of this thing being on the wall and not telling anybody it's a speaker, and
Yeah.
it just
And then,
makes
like,
me...
say some
Yeah.
more- like for Halloween, it would be good because you could like make it like say things like "I'm haunting you from
That's right.
the grave" or something. Like that.
Build me a pyramid.
Build me a pyramid. Okay, Lance showed up. He's got more hat. It's a mouse hat, and he showed off his flex circuit. He's working on this mouse hat that shoots out a hat, so people who do not have motor control in their hands can use their necks and heads to control a mouse, using their hat. You know what I mean? John W. came back. He had his OLED watch. He's been working on like watch projects for a couple months now. He showed up. He has like a really little watch face. It's a ground. It looks like an analog watch, but it's digital. It's both analog and digital. It's crazy. Janan came back. He had the Arduino piano before. He now has an even better Arduino piano. It has a 9-volt battery, it has a cardboard case, it has like MIDI out. It's just intense. You can control GarageBand from this thing. It's cool. And he also built like a little programming shield for his Arduino, so you can program 328 chips, AT-Tiny chips. Those are kind of cute, like fit on top, and there's multiple little sockets. There was also a sumo bot he built. It was actually kind of intense. It had like these like 4 servos, and there's like chains on them, and they could hold his iPhone, and he would FaceTime, and it would like rover around, and he built a controller with an XB. It was kind of cool, very intense. And then finally, Isaac came back, showed us his radio scope that he's working on. It's still rainy. One day when it's not raining, he's going to try this radio scope, which will be cool. And he's data logging the signal with the Adafruit data logging shield, so we'll see how that goes. It was a fun show.
Yep.
There's 5 cool projects. Actually, more. Janet had like 3.
Yeah. All right.
And the OLED watch. John
OLED watch.
Had the Nook.
Oh yeah, and he hacked his Nook with this, because Nooks are $150. So go to your Barnes & Noble if you want a Nook. Now's a good time to get one for like half
The
price.
screens are great.
And it's like, just buying a raw screen of that resolution and size is like $60, $70 at least. And then you don't even get the battery and then like the computer. So it's a really good deal, even if you like end up getting it.
And they're very light too.
Yeah.
They're much lighter than any other tablet.
Excellent for data sheet reading.
Okay. Lady Ada, how does someone get on the show and tell?
To get on the show and tell, go to the Google Plus page at plus.google.com/+symbol Adafruit and look for the post where we say, comment here to get added to our show and tell circle. Comment there, we'll add you to the circle so that your Google personality profile thing will be invited every week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time to show off your project. Get added once and show off your project multiple times, which people do, which is great because we get to see updates.
Yeah, a lot of projects. One of my favorite ones is a DIY radio telescope, and that just takes time.
Yeah.
You know, and he got it from. He's making it from an old. Isaac's making it from an old satellite dish.
Yeah.
And it's been raining.
It's cool.
So he can't.
Your iterations are based on the cycles of nature.
Yeah.
You can't really speed it up.
But that's not gonna rain all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he'll stop. Maybe next week he'll show.
Some news in the maker world. So one of the sites that I've been watching for a while, I like Emil, who's behind it. He's been doing all the right stuff. Is Tindy? Tindy celebrates 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yay.
John,
They've got great stuff there.
have you seen what's on Tindy? Do you watch the Tindy once in a while?
I check it out once in a while. I've been getting his emails, but I haven't had a chance to really check it out lately.
There's some makers on there that they'll try out Tindy, and if there's a lot of response, they'll then go on and say, "Hey, Adafruit, do you want to sell some of my products?" That's been kind of neat to watch, and it's neat to see that there's an ecosystem. So you can download a free tool. You can learn on learn.adafruit.com on how to maybe make some circuits. You can figure out what people want in this community. Use OSH Park, which you just got some boards in.
Yeah, I love OSH Park.
Lane service.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. There's actually an ecosystem.
It's sort of like
for kit making.
It's sort of like Tindy's sort of like a small scale. It's better than like an accelerator sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just to get people started, and so they can get something out there and get a feel for it. Because one of the things is a lot of people come to us with ideas or projects, and we're like, well, is this really going to work? And we don't know. And it's a good way to test the market to see if people really like that design.
Yeah. So that's been neat to watch that. Really good maker company.
Yeah.
Next up, some sad news. This was Douglas Engelbert passed away, age of I think 88. The obituaries and all the things that they're writing about are saying inventor of the computer mouse, but he did a lot more than that. What was interesting is he did this thing called Mother of All Demos, where it was like basically Skype, Google Docs, Gmail, video conferencing, collaborative stuff, all in one in like 1968.
Well, what's neat is that if you read Vannevar Bush, and who was doing stuff at the same time, and is kind of this well-known MIT professor type, and they came up with the idea of life blogging and hypertext and Wikipedia. All these ideas, they're just we only have 20 bytes of RAM. Damn it! We can only store a megabyte, right?
Yeah.
It's they're a megabyte takes up a room. But if only we had more storage, we could actually do this stuff. They had the ideas. They didn't have Wi-Fi. They didn't have terabytes of storage. They didn't have Ethernet. They just didn't have the technology. They didn't have the cost enough to do this. I mean, people now, we have ideas for what the technology of the future might be. but like it's just very hard to do.
Yeah. So.
That's cool. You
Great,
came up with the ideas.
great guy, and lots of articles being written, and a lot of people are saying this is one of the people that really painted a picture of the future in an accurate way, and who knows what else he could have worked on if he had funding or other things happen.
Yeah.
So check out his work and definitely watch the video. And when you watch it, it's like, whoa, they're actually talking about collaborative working at the same time with video conferencing. And it's so far ahead. It was, over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He did a lot of work in interfaces too, didn't he?
Yeah, he was really interested in
and UX. I mean, before UX was a thing.
Yeah, no one was even thinking about it. So, okay, next up. Speaking of blast from the past, Heathkit is back now. Unfortunately, like every year, every year I have the Heathkit is back article or post.
This is not the first time Heathkit's been back. I will say their logo is fantastic.
Yeah, I've covered this on Make, and great. So this time that they're back, they had an FAQ.
For real.
And they said, "Is Heathkit back?" Yes, we're back. So you guys really going to make Heathkits? Yes. Wow, is it that simple? Yes. Will Heathkit products include entirely new designs? Yes. Now the only problem
is... They have to, all the stuff that they use for the old kids is discontinued. Like, we can't buy a cathode tube.
Yeah, so, well, maybe we would, but for fun. But the interesting thing is they won't say who they are, and then they go into a bunch of, intellectual property talking, which is fine, but it's just...
It's a little strange.
It's a little weird, and I have to say, after, the fifth time you're told Heathkit's back, now...
Yeah. Shortwave radio is your favorite. I mean, it's like...
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not... I don't think that Heathkit's aware that everyone's using Arduinos and Raspberry Pis now. I think they're still kind of ham radio.
Do you think it's possible that Heathkit made cryogenic kits and they're just slowly defrosting some of the people from a while ago, and they're like,
I don't know.
We're back. We'll just start running the company again.
The ham radio space is ripe for disruption. I'm not sure that Heathkit is going to be that.
They also made a big deal of the fact that everybody on their team is a ham.
That's great.
Which is great. It's awesome.
Yeah, if the phones ever go down, they can get a hold of each other.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, it's interesting is people are doing software-defined radio now. That's what's kind of the most interesting.
The new radio got updated and released today.
Yeah, people really dig that.
Yeah.
So, how is that going to compete with that? Plus, cell phones, how does that compete with radio?
So, anyways, we want to see it. Heathkit means a lot to a lot of people. Check out the site, read the FAQ, just like we did. We posted it up, and no matter what happens, we'll write about Heathkit.
Yeah, you have a Heathkit calculator.
Yeah, it's the thing about the Heathkit stuff is it's really well built. Yes. I have a Heathkit audio oscillator and a Heathkit modulator and all this other stuff, and it's really built like a tank.
All right, next up,
50 years ago.
News in the maker world. Hackaday is looking for a buyer. This is the site that I started 10 years ago now, and Caleb Kraft is leaving Hackaday to go on to do something else.
That's a nice logo.
That's a nice logo. I made this logo, and a couple of people asked if we're buying Hackaday. No, we're not. I think they were asking $500,000 to $1 million. They get around 6 million page views a month. That's pretty good without doing anything. I think they generate around $10,000 worth of advertising revenue. The Adafruit site has 11 million page views. We don't need those page views.
Right.
So we're hoping that they invest in finding someone as good as Caleb. Caleb is fantastic. Whatever he goes on to do is going to be fantastic. I know that. He's a friend of Adafruit's.
I really dug his portal gun. That was so cool with the words. Oh, that's so cool. He took one more.
Yeah.
One extra.
Okay.
With the logo on it.
That was really nice. And so he has a bunch of stuff about it. You got to see what he's up to. And he's
so cool.
And one of the things he said, he's like, look, if I sell these, I don't want to support them. So maybe in order to buy it, there's a Python program that you have to modify and submit to GitHub, and that's the order form. Oh, so cool. So cool.
No, because he's like, I want it. I mean, we sell Bunny hardware like the NDTV and the Chubby Hacker board, and it's brilliantly designed. But it's a little bit as is. You have to know what you want and to do it, because he's a one guy shop. It's just Bunny.
Yeah.
Bunny's not like a team or like a band with 7 people. It's just really one guy.
Yeah. But one Bunny is 15 or 20 people.
Yeah, but he still only has 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
There's only one Tony Stark. There's only one Bunny.
Yeah, that's true. Next up, this was also on Bunny's site. You got a kick out of this, Lamore. This was the name the wear for June.
Yeah.
And you had to guess what it is, and then someone guessed what it was.
Yeah,
someone guessed what it is. So this is an iPhone 5 board, and you pointed out a couple interesting things. You want to talk about the two interesting things that you...
Yeah. The one interesting thing is there's no silk screen.
Yeah.
It's just black solder mask with and a gold pads, which is just funny as hell. Second, it's got along the edge of the PCBs, it's got these multiple 50 ohm and 100 ohm impedance traces. So this is I kind of knew that there was such a thing as impedance matched, impedance tested boards, which you need for when you're dealing with extremely small RF cellular stuff. You just want to make sure that you're getting the most performance possible, because battery life is important, space is important, you want to have the highest quality. And the PCB is actually very expensive. A circuit board like that, probably at the scale that Apple's buying them, is maybe like $2 each at the most, maybe $1 each. So if you can avoid problems later on and not use a bad $1 board, it can keep you from having to throw away a $200 assembly. Because what's expensive is the chips and the assembly cost and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this board has these traces with these test pads, and so they can put an impedance tester on there to test to make sure that serpentine is in fact a 50 ohm trace. There's also if you zoom into the image, you can see there's a 100 ohm one as well. So I thought that was really neat, because it's that's how they do it. Now I know.
Okay.
I know.
Next, this week.
So it's the thickness of the copper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a fun Arduino thing.
Okay.
We launched the NeoPixel Shield, and 4th of July came up.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show this cool video that someone did. That's really neat.
That is cool. I really like that.
I like that effect. I hope it releases the sketch.
I like the way it sort of exploits.
Almost 2 million visitors a month now. Special thanks to everybody on the web team, all the cool content you're posting.
So this is for what? For everything?
This is our Adafruit properties, yeah. So,
all Adafruit.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we have Learn
Wow.
and also our blog and website. So we wrap it all up into one, because they're all very connected. The store is part of the blog, and the learning system is part of the store, and all this stuff. So we're doing pretty good. If you look, this year has been big. Lots of interesting stuff going on.
Oh, this is year by year.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. This is what I wanted to show over the course of, since we started keeping track of it in 2009.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. In the last year, it's really, you can see it went up, and then it really went up high.
Yeah. Okay, next up, mailbag.
Go pack it, the mailbag.
All right, next up, mailbag. This is a mailbag from Fran. Hello, Lamar. I discovered your site and company. I wanted to send a brief email to say how much I appreciate what you're doing. I grew up in the 70s in the days of Heathkit and Radio Shack. It's the real Radio Shacks. When electronics was a common hobby, and kids brought me into electronics at an early age. See my favorites right here. Although electronics design is no longer my primary occupation, I develop projects in my spare time, and I've been looking for a company to make kids' versions of particular projects as my current module Nixie system. Anyways, thanks for being out there and keeping electronics open and available to new generations of engineers. You are awesome.
Okay.
All right. Keep moving on. Next, Adafruit Learning System. Lady Ada, maybe you can talk about these briefly.
Yes, I will. Adafruit Learning System has the best tutorials. We have like 270 tutorials, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
250 at least. I remember we had 250. Okay, so this week we had some BeagleBone tutorials. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. BeagleBone Black. You don't have to have black nail polish, but it helps. So the tutorial we wrote was Justin worked on the BBIO library, which is our port of the Raspberry Pi IO library to the BeagleBone, and I2C support. And the cool thing about that is it means that nearly all of our sensors, which we've written Raspberry Pi I2C drivers for in our LED matrices, so like the Lux sensor, 7-segment matrix driver, some temperature sensor I think that we did. I don't remember what other I2C sensors, but a bunch of them, like the accelerometer, I think we wrote a library for a Raspberry Pi. That will just have analog digital conversion in the BBIO library. And so this is a tutorial showing how to measure light from a resistive light sensor, such as an LDR, using an analog input on the BeagleBone. The BeagleBone has analog inputs, but they're only 1.8 volts, so you just have to be aware of that, use a 1.8 volt reference when you're doing analog inputs. And in this case, just do the pull up to 1.8 volts. Check out the tutorial. Use these analog inputs. It has them. We also have a quickie 3-in-1 tutorial. This is how to use our capacitive touch sensors. So we have 3 capacitive touch sensors that are driverless. They kind of just work. They have inputs that are capacitive and then outputs that are just digital outputs. So from left to right, we have a momentary touch. You just touch it and the pin goes high. Toggle touch, you touch it and the pin goes high, touch it again, the pin goes low. And then a 5-channel version, which allows you to have 5 different inputs. And so we just have a quick tutorial on how to use those, wire them up, and some ideas on how to create capacitive touchpads, what you can use as materials.
Okay. Next we have Wearable Wednesday. Every week on Wearable Wednesday, we cover all sorts of things in the wonderful world of wearables. A couple quick events coming up on July 10th. Wearable broadcast with Becky Stern. Check out the Adafruit site for that. Wearable Tech Conference coming up July 24th and 25th. And we have a fun video that was posted just recently using our Adafruit Okay. Next.
Okay.
Hello. Welcome
Hi.
back. Okay. I'll be back in a second. We have one more project from Wearables this week. This is a Wearables Teardown.
This is a product from Mitch, who makes a TV Gone, and he also does the Brain Machine kit, which is really popular. But this is the product that he has that helps you sleep better by using some of the effects of the Brain Machine to kind of light stuff and make audio sounds, and apparently it kind of like tricks your brain into relaxing.
And here's the video.
We're going to do another wearable teardown today, everybody. It's the NeuroDreamer Sleep Mask from Cornfield Electronics, and it's designed to help you fall asleep faster and rest easier. I already took it most of the way apart. All I had to do was unzip the face mask, unzip the inner mesh pouch to find this molded foam piece containing all of the electronics. And then I asked Lady Ada to come over and help me discover those electronics. So here she is.
Hey everybody, hey Becky. Let's check out this awesome NeuroDreamer mask. This is what came out of the mask. Taking this apart, we've got the main board here. In the middle is a microcontroller. This is a Zilog.
No, it'll say low bat.
It's similar to an Arduino, but much less expensive. So when you're going to manufacture, if you're going to make 5,000, 10,000, every dollar counts. These chips are like 50 cents, 25 cents. This is the LED light board for the eyes. So you have 4 LEDs. These are basic surface mount LEDs. You've got R for red, yellow, green, and then blue, which isn't on at this point. And there's little resistors for each one of them, and this connects with another flex cable to the main board. This flex connector is stiff enough that you can bend it, but it's still flexible enough that you can move it around. So it doesn't flop, but it is flexible. And then on the other side, there's basically a mirror version of it, so each eye has the same signal. And then over here we have the debug port. So if you want to reprogram this chip, download the compiler, upload your own blinky, bleepy designs. Down here is the analog section for the speakers. So big DC blocking caps, little filter resistors. That keeps the audio not too loud, pretty good quality, and make sure you don't damage the speakers. Up here there's the power supply, and this is the LiPo charging circuit. So this circuit charges the rechargeable battery up here. Use the DC jack to do that. You want to make sure you have a good charging chip for LiPoly batteries. They're pretty sensitive. You want to make sure that they don't get damaged.
For this and many other teardowns, we use the Adafruit USB microscope and its articulated stand.
All right.
Okay.
That was me and Becky. That was kind of fun. I kind of like these wearable teardowns because there's a lot of really cool wearable tech out there, like wearable sensors and like life blogging stuff, and like this NeuroDreamer mask. And I never have time to like take stuff apart anymore because I'm like so busy with Adafruit. So now I have like a great excuse to just like tear something open and just like look at it under a microscope and look up some data sheets. And it's kind of great to see the different techniques that different makers use.
Yeah.
So we have another one soon next week. So
yeah, we have
tune
in. We have a really cool one coming up. And then next 3D Thursday, every single Thursday, we have some cool things in the world of 3D. This week, someone made a cool perma-proto printable thing on Thingiverse. Yeah, look at that. You can put your things
yeah,
inside
slip
there.
it in. That's kind of nice.
And then someone also made a fun joystick holder for our joystick.
Yeah, basic but effective.
Yeah.
Just joystick.
All right.
Oh, sometimes you don't want buttons.
Pi Day, every Friday, lots of Pi things. Huge article on Wired posted on Wired about the Raspberry Pi project and how they got to 1 million. So do check that out. And some fun photos from the factory. This is how the Pis are made. And
that's like a testing jig or something.
Yeah, a giant tester.
Or a reflow jig. Hard to tell.
Yeah. And then the other one is someone used, I believe, our tutorial to make light paintings with Pi.
Yay!
Neat.
Go America.
Yeah. And then last up, Magpie. The Raspberry Pi magazine has issue 14 that just came out, I believe. So do check that out.
All about camera module.
Yeah. All right. Next up, it's now time to talk to John. Hey, look.
Hey, look.
John Engineer.
Is here.
All right.
Live and in person.
Yeah. So folks can. Well, John can say it. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Your mic batteries went dead. So sorry, folks, as you were getting lower and lower and lower. We have to recharge her batteries once in a while. So now we're okay. So John, I'm gonna ask you some questions just to get all the questions out of the way that everyone's gonna ask. So folks, you can start asking photography questions, John Engineer questions.
Actually, now it's actually a good time for us to swap, so I'll be ready for new products.
Okay. Do you want to do a chair
Let's do a swap room.
sliding? Okay, great.
Wait, I'm gone.
Hi,
Hold on.
John. Goodbye, Lady Ada.
Bye.
Hey, Phil, how you doing?
Very good. So let's first. I'm going to first get to the number one question. John, what camera do you use for these photos?
Nikon D800.
Nikon D800. Okay. I found this graphic because everyone always asks, Canon versus Nikon. Look, they made it out of Canon and Nikon.
Oh my God, that's taking it too far.
Yeah.
Come on.
Which one, John?
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
What?
If you have thousands of dollars worth of Canon lenses, buy a Canon. I had thousands of dollars worth of Nikon lenses, so I went with Nikon.
Yeah. So
There are some differences within the line. Canon had a real advantage for a long time, but Nikon sort of caught up. Canon accessories do seem to be priced a little more reasonably than Nikon, though. But that's just Nikon's always been like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any camera on the horizon you're really excited about?
No, the D800 was the one I was really excited about.
Yeah.
And now that I have one,
really
it's
like
fully justified.
Okay. It's good that you're not like that. This is disappointing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have been able to tell the difference from when you started. The product photos look fantastic. We're doing a lot of reshoots. We have a lot of special projects that you're working on where the photos are great. How many products do you shoot a week right now here at Adafruit?
It depends on the week, but I would say normally between like 5 and 10 new products a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Next up, what has been your favorite thing to shoot so far?
Oh,
I got to get all these out of the way.
The arcade button. Particularly the red arcade button.
Okay.
But all of them.
Okay. So this is
That's my desktop background, actually.
You
I
like
love
this
that picture.
photo?
Just because it was like a lot of fun to sort of conjure up Kubrick in a product photo for a button. It's like, yeah.
And then a couple people in the chat have asked, like, what are you using the background and the surface for these things? Because you have obviously it's not a plain old white background.
That was actually the wall of the studio. It's just I lit it darker than the rest of the scene, so it looks gray.
Yeah.
So it's down a couple stops from what pure white would be.
Gotcha.
And it's right at the bottom because that's where the light is, and then it gradiates up.
Gotcha. And you don't use any Photoshop reflections. If something's a reflection, it's because the surface is reflected.
I don't mirror anything in Photoshop.
You don't do anything like that at all.
My experience, that actually looks bad.
It looks fake.
It looks really fake.
Yeah, it's because it's too perfect, right?
It's too perfect. Yeah, when real reflections, you'll see little distortions or just changes in tonality.
Yeah.
That make it look real.
And then I want to go through. This is like a John Engineer retrospective. I want to go through some other photos that
Soon
you
to be
did.
at the Whitney.
Yeah. So these were all the buttons, and then this was the pie stuff. A lot of people who probably know some of your works on Flickr probably saw this. This is, I think, one of your earlier photos when you were playing.
It's your
around.
noir phase.
Yeah.
That's right, my Hacko Noir.
And then this was the Hacko that you shot here.
Right.
It's better than their like official product photo. They should probably have asked us to like use that for their. I mean, it is like the best Hacko photo ever.
Thank you.
Like everyone wants like that Hacko. Like you want that Hacko.
Yeah. And then I did want to ask you, and again, these are all questions. Oh, I have to ask: is film dead?
No.
No. Okay. Good.
Especially, well, colored film may be dead because it's expensive to produce the chemicals and there's very limited demand. But black and white film will never die. It's like saying oil paint is dead. Somebody's always going to want to use it because it's got a look.
But watercolor's completely dead.
Your watercolor's probably dead.
Just want to make sure. All right.
Yeah.
And then before I go on to the next round of photos, someone wants to know: do you ever use an automated motion rig to take multiple shots of the macro lens and combine them for an increased depth of field?
I don't use an automated rig. I use my fingers, and I just.
So you'll do multiple ones?
One of the things I like is with fixed macro lenses, they tend to have much larger focusing rings, so you can really sort of get some fine control over where the focusing point is.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of slowly inch it. And if you stop down enough, you'll get enough overlap that you can focus stack. It takes some practice, but eventually you'll be able to do it. You don't need automated.
Do you think because you're an engineer, in addition to being a great photographer, do you think that being an engineer has been really helpful as a photographer, or has it, what are the... Yeah?
Specifically...
Well, I think it's neat because Lamore can hand you a new product, or you and I could talk about something, and you actually know everything that is in the product. You actually know the difference between the chips, the resistors. You actually know what thing to focus on. You know about headers. I mean, all these things. Like I've never met a photographer who's been an engineer. So
it's true. And I can also flash my own code if I need to make it do something.
If you need to edit something.
Yeah.
That's like, I actually think that might be the if you want to be a photographer, it probably doesn't hurt to be an engineer.
Yeah. It never hurts to be an engineer no matter what you want to do.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to, like, having that understanding is really helpful. And you're also working on maybe a couple new products. You have some things coming in there.
Yeah, I'm working on some designs.
So one of the things I wanted to show, because this has been one of the things that I think everybody says this is a challenge. So taking photos of LEDs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we talk about this all the time. Like, this is just hard to do. This is hard stuff to do. Why is it so hard to take photos of LEDs? And that's a nice photo, by the way.
That's a great photo.
Why is it so hard?
This one was actually easier because it's diffused.
Yeah.
The segments are diffused, so you don't have like this concentration in the center of this like just column of really, really bright light. Because what happens when you have that is you have that really, really bright light and then the rest of it, and there's a contrast ratio that's way too high for the camera sensor to really handle and for you to get all of it in one shot. And if you try to add more light to the scene, it just ends up getting into the LED and washing it out.
Yeah.
Put the LED part in shadow and you light around it.
Oh, okay.
And you can, if you do that, or if the light is at a regular enough angle, so that, let's say, your LED is sticking out this way and the light's coming in at a shallow enough angle, you won't wash it out, but you'll still light it up. If you go to the NeoPixel shield in the next photo, the light's coming in, it's sort of raking it at an angle. It's actually coming from the back.
Gotcha.
And these are still a little washed out, but they're clear enough that you can tell that they're LEDs.
Yeah.
And also the fact that they're out of focus sort of takes that one bright spot and spreads it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing that someone asked in the chat. So you also do fritzing, which is all our parts library.
Yes.
A special shout out for the fritzing. People really like it at their project. How does that relate to the stuff that you're doing? So you may photo a product.
Right.
And then later on you may redraw it as a vector.
Yeah. The main thing with that is because, especially if you have the thing in your hand, you just kind of have to look at how the light falls on it. And you can make the fritzing look really lifelike by using a lot of gradients and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I think that's basically understanding how light falls on things.
Yeah.
What it does and what different contours will do. Like a beveled edge or something is going to have a certain profile.
Yeah.
It's going to get really hot in one spot and then it's going to fade off to darken.
Yeah, and with the gradients, because they kind of look like a little brush metal, like you can kind of use them in a way that make it's like, ooh, look, it's gold, but you can use a gradient so it looks like it's like, it's a trace or something like that.
Yeah, if you use a light enough touch with it, pretty much gradient all the things, because everything looks more realistic when there's a gradient, because nothing in life is an absolute solid anything. So.
Yeah. Someone asked, do you ever take photos of people? You do. In fact, on our Flickr set right now,
Yes, I do.
There's a fantastic photo of Our Lady Ada. That's
Yay.
really good. Yeah, so check out our Flickr set. And yeah,
Also, you took a photo of yourself.
yeah, well,
right?
John has a photo of you have a photo of you.
That was like right after I set up the studio,
That's your selfie.
and I was checking my selfie. I was checking the
Yeah.
overhead light, and I just snapped the shutter.
And then just to wrap up with this before we go into new products, you're doing a series of but these are actual reels that we use. Lady Ada, how much are these reels for the pick and place?
These are the feeders that
feeders.
Yeah, they're feeders that hold tape and reel. So an 8mm feeder I think is like $675, and we have like 25 or 30 of those. We have one 32mm feeder which was $3,000. So we use that feeder for GPS modules. Or GPS modules come on a 32mm tape and reel. So we had to use them. We had to get a feeder. It was a $3,000 feeder. So, yeah. Not only do you have to buy the pick and place, but then every feeder.
Yeah.
On top
we don't
of it.
have any loans or venture funding, so if anyone ever asks, like, why are we asking John to
All
take
my
these beautiful
money,
photos?
all my money's in feeders.
$600 for feeders. Of course, we're gonna take.
That's the
photos
low
of this
end.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, low
Yeah.
end is 600.
It's the most expensive model I've ever worked with.
Yeah. And then last up, you just did these. These are gorgeous. These are the stencils
Yeah.
that we use, and you did some interesting things here. What is this? It's like Space Invaders on this one, and then this is like
Yeah, this one,
cover of a new Stephen King novel. I don't know what's going on.
I kind of don't know what was
The
going on
stencil.
there either. I'm kind of like,
Stencilers.
I was looking at this, and I put the light behind it, and I'm like, you know what? This would look better with smoke, because everything looks better with smoke. So
Okay.
it's actually
Smoke
steam.
and gradients. If you
Smoke and
learn,
gradients,
if you
that's
learn
right.
one thing today.
So it's actually steam, but it
Steam.
came out really cool. Somebody said I made it look like a cathedral.
Yeah, has a little bit of
is.
that cathedral look. Well, if you like,
The church is stencil here.
if you look at like mosques, they have like filigreed work in the it's not stained glass. It's like filigreed like stone or wood. Kind of has a little bit of that feeling.
Yeah, and especially with like incense and stuff,
Yeah.
the light comes through it. It really.
Yeah. So we're going to save some time at the end of the show. If folks have more questions, but they asked a bunch of neat questions. If someone wanted to get started, they have a little kit company, they have products. What are you have an article about how to take photos.
Right.
We've talked about that. But is there any, if someone had to, because I always get asked this question, and you always get asked, if they have to spend money on something, should they spend all their money on a camera? Should they spend on lights? Should they, if they can only dedicate their budget to one thing, what would you say is the thing to spend money on?
If I could only spend money on one side and use like open shade
Yeah.
to take a photo.
That's true. Lighting is free. If it's
Yeah, the best light source is the sun,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's got like the most pure spectrum, and it's everywhere.
There's a lot of it outside.
There's a lot of
lately.
it.
All right. Well, thank you, John.
All
That's
right.
what I would say.
Okay. Before we go off to new products, the code is Alta Vista. 10% off everything in stock in the Adafruit store. Lady Ada, you know what time it is.
New products. We need a new products tune.
I know. All right.
New product.
Okay.
Get on it, somebody.
Yeah, first up, squishy cable.
Squishy cable. This is a Phil B request. Phil B's been doing a lot of stuff with pixels and wearable stuff, and he's like, hey, there's this silicone wire that's really good for wearables work. And I was like, okay, so I got a sample of it, and it's actually kind of cool. It's, the photo is really good, but I'll also show it on the overhead. So it's clear, so it's a little tough to see, but there's 4 conductors inside, and it's 24 wire gauge, and it's like super flexible because it's silicone. So it is waterproof. Of course, you want to heat shrink the what ends to whatever if you want to maintain the waterproofness. But it's just really soft and flexible, and you can like twist it around a lot, and it won't break. So this is very good for wearables or for anything where there's a lot of motion, maybe robotics as well. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to carry some of this. So we have it in store.
Yeah.
Sort of like the gummy worm of cables.
Yeah, it's really very interesting stuff.
And since John, the photographer's here, John, was this difficult to shoot at all, or is this straight up like?
It actually, every time I rolled it up, it kept unraveling until Becky did a special
Becky not.
wearable secret knowledge
She was
thing.
in the Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's it.
Uncooperative
But it was cool.
model here.
Once I got it to photograph like the refraction in there, that was like the coolest
Yeah,
thing
that's
ever.
nice.
Okay. Next up, Lady Ada. What's this?
Pi reference card. I thought this was kind of a cute idea. It's a little circuit board and it's super skinny and it fits onto the Raspberry Pi. And so if you're using just like female header breakout cable, not like a Pi cobbler, it labels all the pins for you. So I was like, yeah, it's a really good idea. So we also shot a really great photo of it on the Pi. It works with both V2 and V1 Pi. You just flip it over for V1 because there's like 2 pins that are slightly different. The numbers are different. And I'll show it on the overhead. But yeah, you just slip it on. Can I go to the overhead?
Oh, you want to go to the overhead? Sorry.
On the overhead? Yeah.
I'm getting there.
We're getting there. Okay, so here you got your Raspberry Pi, and it's designed so it can only go one way. Oh, it can't go this way. It can only go on this way, so that's really handy. And it slides on, and it gives you plenty of extra header, and then you're like, oh, which pin is 5 volt? Oh, yeah, it's that pin. And then if you're like, oh, I have to connect to like I2C or whatever, you can really easily figure out which pin is what. So it's really handy. It's really cute. I think if you're using a cobbler, you might not need it, but if you're just connecting wires directly, it's very handy.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
Next up, I got this little Pi camera holder.
Yeah, Pi camera. Actually, don't have the assembled Pi camera holder, so we'll just look at these photos.
Yeah.
But it's 2 pieces of laser cut plastic from Pi Moroni. They make the Pi Bow. And it's a really handy little adjustable holder. You can adjust the height and the angle. And it has a hole in it that can fit a 1/4-20. So that's the sort of standard camera mount. So if you have a 1/4-20 hex nut, which you can get like at any hardware store for like 25 cents, or they'll probably just give it to you if you ask for one, you can attach it to a tripod. So
yeah, okay.
Maybe check out the tripod
we'll
photo.
Keep moving. Just so folks know, we don't have Pi cameras. They're seriously delayed. We got sent some. We were asked to send them back.
Yeah.
So we don't have.
We have
any,
negative cameras.
Yeah, we don't have any. We have a lot of people signed up for them. The second we get them in.
If we had them,
this is completely outside our.
we would
control.
totally have them. We don't have them.
Yeah, we're trying to do everything. It's just there's no Pi cameras. Okay, next up.
Can you show the one with the tripod?
Yeah,
the one before then?
Sorry.
Yeah, so you can see it attached to a tripod. Yay! Good tripod. Okay, next up.
Next up, this next thing is being called the Raspberry Pi of telescopes. This is the Celestron first scope. And these are just some of the photos that the company has. It's a low-cost telescope for kids, but it's also for adults. One of the cool things is around the scope itself, it has lots of names of astronomers and scientists and people who discovered all sorts of things about the cosmos. And got these happy people using it together.
It's actually a really good quality scope.
It's very durable.
It's really durable, too. I was actually kind of surprised. I was sort of expecting, like, oh, is it, like, cheap, like, particle board and, like, it'll fall apart? And, like, 'cause we've got a sample of it. But I was really impressed with the quality. It is a really, really nice scope. Price.
Yeah, and if since this is a bigger thing, I'm gonna.
It's also heavy. It doesn't vibrate at all.
Yeah.
They've got these nice rubber bumpers on the bottom.
And the whole rotating thing.
It all
is very well
rotates,
done.
and it's got this little rotating Lazy Susan thing, which
Yeah,
is
on the
solid,
bottom
and it doesn't jiggle at all. Like it's very solid. It's
If
got
I can-
caps.
Yeah, when I look through this, I can see everybody watching Ask an Engineer. Oh, what is
I see you.
Yeah, don't do that.
I see you.
Okay, so this is pretty neat, and it's at a great price, and we think there's going to be some fun hacks for it, and we're really excited about it. And it comes with a couple lenses, and this is one of the new things that we're adding to our Young Engineer category. We're all going to do a Pi thing with
Yeah, we
this.
want to maybe see if we
Yeah.
can put a stepper motor on it to motorize it and move it around. And then you can also, this moves up and down too. So with 2 steppers or 2 servos,
Yeah.
you might be able to do some basic tracking, which I thought would be really neat.
It's also useful in the daytime, too. I was using it outside, and you can see really far away.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so very cool scope. Okay.
A great beginner scope.
Yeah. Next up,
Telescope.
Lady Ada is super lucky 40-pin FPC to breakout adapter plate.
This is really lucky. This is the luckiest product we have. It is super lucky. I designed it for myself, actually, and I actually designed it like 2 or 3 years ago when I was first doing like OLED and TFT stuff. It's just an adapter from 40-pin FPC to breadboard, because I've been doing a lot of stuff with OLEDs and displays, and they all have like slightly different pitches, and sometimes they don't even use connectors. Sometimes you actually have to solder it directly on. And I can show that here, for example, on an OLED that I'm not using. Whoa, hold on. So this is the adapter plate, and you can see there's 0.5 millimeter, 0.6 millimeter, 0.7, 0.8, and 1 millimeter, and then it has a 2 by 20 breakout over here, and then it also breaks them out on the sides. You can, if you have one of those like really big breadboards, like with the multiple, like this full-size breadboard side by side, this will plug in nicely. So yeah, for example, like this, it has like a strange connector that it doesn't use a socket. You actually, it's supposed to be soldered directly on. So in this case, I would, put it directly on top of like the 0.8 or 0.7.
I've got a photo of it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can also go to the overhead.
Oh, can you go back to that? Thanks.
Okay,
So you would line it up to the FPC and then solder it, and then you could connect to it on the breakout. So it's something that I used. This OLED actually didn't end up being in a product. It wasn't good enough for us. But to test all of them, I needed a tool, and so I made a bunch of these. And then I was like, hey, this could be really handy for people. So I put Super Lucky on it, and it's in the store.
Okay.
Check it out.
And then next up,
Get your luck on.
this is the one that gave John some hard time. John, you had a hard time on this one. Sorry.
Yeah. What was this like?
This is one of the perils of operating Adafruit in the middle of Manhattan. Any sort of lines from missing the window for the refresh rate. I had to use 1/10 of a second shutter speed, and all day long the one train just running underneath the building.
Yeah.
And it kept shaking it, and it was driving me nuts until like much later in the day, and I was able to actually get all these pictures without
we asked
any
them to
shake
stop
at
the
all.
trains, but they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it. I don't know.
We're trying to take photos up here.
Yeah, I remember when I first shot the LCDs and OLEDs, I'd take it down to like 1/20th. That was the only way, or 1/5 even.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to get it. Because otherwise, it's a passive matrix. OLEDs are passive matrix, not active matrix at this size, and so it's hard to get all the pixels. But we have all the pixels.
Do you want to show it?
Yeah, sure. Let's show it on the overhead. We also have great photos, but some people want to watch it live, so you can actually see the refresh rate if the light's on. But if I turn the light off, the shutter speed goes down. So I'll reset it. So this is just a graphics test. So this is a really nice big OLED. It can do, all our graphic stuff, text, lines. On the back is an SD. Yeah, this is the SPI code. On the back, actually, I don't remember if this one, but some OLEDs have like built-in line drawing and rectangle drawing techniques, so you actually it's built in, which is kind of nice. But what's really cool about OLEDs is you can see them from any angle very, very well, which is not true for most low-cost CSTN or LCDs or even TFTs. So it's super skinny. The refresh is just because of the camera. In reality, it's a very steady image. It's really crisp and really beautiful, and the contrast is excellent because each pixel is an OLED. It's actually an LED, so the black is true black. So you don't get that kind of grayish black that you get with TFTs because there's a backlight. There's no backlight here. It also means it's very low power. You only light up the pixels that you need to, so it uses a lot less power than a TFT because you don't have to light this huge backlight. And then on the back, I'll turn this off. You can see the connector. We have a level shifter, so it's 5-volt, 3-volt compliant. A little boost converter for the OLED and a micro SD socket. We have some code to load bitmaps from the SD. So yeah, you can do anything. 1.5-inch display. It's really nice.
We're going to have 1,000 different varieties soon. It's for John to take
Of
photos.
OLEDs? Well, I'm going to go to Staten Island and do all those.
I'm trying to get more OLEDs. These were the first few. I actually have a contact now at the OLED factory that I like the most. So hopefully we'll be able to get more, because sometimes it's hard if you're not, a camera company or like a cell phone company to get displays. They just won't sell them to you at the quantities, but hopefully I can get them to sell me 1.7 and 1.3-inch displays as well.
All right. A little tight on time, but we still have some time. We're going to end new products. That's new products. Thank you, Lady Ada.
No problem.
New
pleasure.
products. Okay. Yeah, one thing that we're going to make, John, is a little lighting rig, so we have more control over the lighting for the overhead.
Oh, yeah.
You and I can talk about that later. I don't know. We got to do that. It's on my long list of things.
Okay.
We finally got an Ask an Engineer spot. So
yes,
it's only 4 years coming up soon in August.
Ask an Engineer Corner.
This is Ask an Engineer Corner. It's like a wildlife preserve that
no
one's allowed to put bubble wrap here anymore. We're going to do a quick top secret thing. We have a couple of top secret products. It's not out yet. Don't
Super
ask.
secret.
Yeah. So first one, behold, the cube.
It's a cube.
This is a big old LED cube.
Yeah, we made an LED cube out of these 32 by 32 matrix displays. Not the ones you have in the store. They're actually a little bit bigger. They're a larger pitch because we had to cram the electronics inside.
Yeah.
But this will be a tutorial that we will have. It won't be a product, but we will show you how you can build your own. And this one, it takes HDMI video, and so this is actually an animated GIF that we downloaded from the internet of Endless Fantasy, which is an album you should buy to support James.
Yeah.
And Amadaguchi.
Yeah. All right. And then next up, world
Who wrote the
premiere.
tutorial?
World premiere. This next product will be out on Monday. This is the new assembled motor shield. New and improved, new for 2013, our popular motor shield.
Stackable design.
Stackable design, it does everything.
You can control up to like, I think, what was it? Let's
There's
see.
5 bits on there.
5 bits, so what's 2 to the 5th? I don't even know.
Yeah.
That's madness.
Madness!
And also,
This is Adafruit!
That's like a crazy spider with 8 legs on each of 8 legs.
But it's with steppers.
it's spiders all the way down. And fantastic photo from John. So this will be in the
this is
store on
really fun.
Monday.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
We have to pick and place them.
This is a big deal.
Hopefully we'll do that on Monday.
Yeah. This is
If the pick and place doesn't
this is the
break down.
best motor shield made.
Well, it's just an improvement of the existing motor shield, so it's fully stackable, as many as you want, up to 64.
Yeah.
Up to 32.
Or 128 DC mode.
120 DC motor, as long as you can power it. 1.3 amps per segment. So you can do like a 2 amp stepper, 3 amp peak.
Yeah.
It has protection FET on there in case you put your power in backwards. Has some prototyping space. It's assembled, so
There's
you
a
just
lot
put
of
header
people
on.
who want to do a lot of things, and they've been waiting for something like this.
Yeah.
It's been
Well, it's
like-
interesting. The motor shield is like product like number like 54.
Yeah.
Like it is like a long time ago. Probably
Yeah,
54 now. This one is like 1438 or something.
Yeah.
1448.
We're up to 1,400 and like 50 something products.
Yeah, 1450. So this is
Yeah.
1,400 products ago.
1,400 products. Yeah.
I also think the motor shield is actually one of my favorite looking boards. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I just kind of look muscly with the headers on
Look
it.
at that.
Yeah.
It's like, "Grr."
Looks like it's gonna drive into a like it's gonna go into a beach and soldiers are gonna pop out and save the world
Yeah.
Yeah. On Monday.
on Monday.
So yeah, I got to finish this tutorial. But yeah, in the library,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah. It's gonna
Tutorial. You can stack them. You can make them a
be
lot
cool.
easier.
I can't wait to see the projects. That's the cool part about this. Okay. We're going to do a speed round of some questions. Real quick. John Engineer photo questions, of course. Lady Ada engineer questions. John Engineer questions. All right.
Word.
I can answer one of these. Someone wants to know what's the status of Gemma. We're getting really close to launch.
Oh, we are really close.
Yeah, Gemma's about to come out.
Ooh, we are so close.
Yeah, and we have another product that'll come out after Gemma that I can't talk about yet.
We have the final the final prototype PCBs for Gemmas are coming in on Tuesday. So once I assemble those
Yeah.
and test them, and if it all passes, which hopefully it will, because this is now like the
Yeah.
3rd or 4th revision, it's been improved and updated. So it looks a little bit different. We test it and get it working, and then we'll order PCBs. So yeah, it takes a couple weeks after that, but it is
Okay.
happening.
What is the clock enable pin on a shift register?
You probably mean output enable.
Okay.
Not-
I'm concerned about
yeah.
heat generation from a voltage
Right.
regulator for a wearable project, about
Once you
5
mix
amps
them.
at 7 volts. Do you think heat would be a major factor here?
If it's less than an amp, you probably don't have to worry about it. If you are worried about it, we have a buck converter in the store that can do up to 3 amps, which is way more than you probably need. You can also wrap it in foam or something so it doesn't touch a person.
Okay. Do you have any suggestions or good books, websites to read to learn about building things that break less for mechanical 3D print design? No, but Matt Griffin, who participates in our Google Plus community about 3D printing all the time, post up your question there. He'll see that.
Yeah.
And he showed me some book that had all these like support structure things, 3D printy stuff. Next up. No, we still haven't done the Cappy tryouts. I had to push it off for another week. I'm hoping to do it next week. next up, have we got any news on the Arduino Young shipments? No, but you know what would be really helpful? If folks email the Arduino folks and say, hey, we really want Adafruit to stock the new Arduinos, the Arduino bot, because we get asked a lot, but we can only wait until our shipment comes in or when we're allowed to order them. So the more that our customers ask Arduino, would be the most.
We cannot until it's activated in the website. We just can't order it.
Okay, is there a quick and dirty way to use an IR sensor with 5-volt output on a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, we have a tutorial, an IR sensor or an IR, what is it, an IR what?
IR sensor on a 5-volt output on a Raspberry Pi.
If it's an IR remote sensor, we have a tutorial on using LIRC with a Raspberry Pi if you look at the learning system.
Okay. Where can I find a library to direct drive a matrix LEDs? I do not want to use a driver chip.
I don't know of any good libraries. I would suggest using a driver chip because it is a real pain in the ass to do otherwise.
So wants to know where the best places to buy LiPos. I think our default answer is the Adafruit store.
Adafruit
right?
store.
Yeah.
Actually, the Lulshield library is pretty good, but it's not a matrix. It's Charlieplex. But the Lulshield library should work, kind of. It does a lot. You need a lot of pins though.
Okay. All right. Oh, and Matt was in the chat. He said there's a great books about when buildings fail, etc. We'll share this week. Okay. Perfect.
Great.
That's great.
Cool.
Hey, he showed me this cool book. I was looking at it. It had all these like 3D printed models and like all these different things about them. It was kind of. We have a MakerBot at home.
Yeah.
And we've been printing out our prototypes for our.
We have a
Raspberry
code
Pi
for
case.
it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, our BeagleBone case. We already have a Raspberry Pi case.
I don't know if they still do it, but Autodesk used to have. If you were a student, you could get Inventor for free.
Yeah.
And Inventor actually has like its own finite element system in it.
Yeah.
Where you can stress test stuff and see where the weak points are.
Will this bridge break?
Is there like a
Yeah.
thing where it's like shove it off of a table or like my cat jumped
No,
on it?
you'd have to
Still
figure
a
out what
cat
the
that
forces
Cats
are.
in me, like yeah, like go.
But you can see where the weak spots and where the stresses are.
Yeah,
and
it turns
stuff
red
like that.
and like yeah.
It also looks very sciencey and impressive when you.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I've
Okay.
seen it. It has like the rainbow gradient thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Very scientific.
It's trivia question time. Lady Ada, what are the rules?
Okay. Welcome to the trivia question. The rules are if you've won something from this trivia question contest before, you can't enter. So go and look at the moon or something with your telescope.
Yeah.
What's the prize?
The prize today is what color OLED?
Color OLED.
Ooh.
Okay. First person to type this in the chat, I'm going to be the final decision maker on this one. Douglas Engelbert gave a demo in December 9th, 1968, where he showed mice, video conferencing, hypertexting. What is it commonly referred to as now?
Were you watching the internet last week? Because
Yeah.
if you were,
Earlier on our show. What was this
What is
called?
it?
The Wikipedia article about it.
colloquially known?
Yeah.
Is that the word? Colloquially?
Colloquially.
Colloquially.
Park is not the answer. What is the name of this demo that he did?
It's also not telescope.
Yeah.
It's not Engelbart Arama.
Yeah. Bobcat.
That'd be
Congratulations,
cool.
you won. The
That would be
mother of
awesome.
all demos.
The mother of all demos.
Which is true. It just showed everything. Welcome to everything.
You should call it the
You know
everything of all
what?
demos.
It's kind of cool. I want to imagine him like going and doing this demo, dropping the mic, and just walking out.
Yeah.
He's like,
That would be cool if you also showed how to do that. They didn't even
they
have
didn't have drop mics. They
drop mics or MCs or
Yeah.
brushed
comedy
his shoulders off and
specials.
just walked out the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Also, like sang a Jay-Z song. It's crazy.
you know,
This demo.
I'll say this because the more I read about him and I rewatch those videos, physics I think had a similar thing where you had these massive minds at one point in physics.
Yeah.
And Einstein would come along, and Niels Bohr would come along.
And they're like, we don't know the math.
Feynman.
We don't have the math for it, but we know this is true.
But no, they were just these single individuals that just made so much discovery and could bend your mind. And I think for computer science, he probably was one of those that
Yeah.
could go up and do a live demo that worked. You can't even.
we can't do that.
This is hard to pull off, and
Yeah.
every other Apple
It's like
keynote
Microsoft
was
can't do it, yeah.
Yeah, like every other Microsoft keynote, everything just it doesn't work. But this is a live demo of people manipulating code together, a video conferencing thing. So an interesting person, and the fact that we have video of it and it's on YouTube kind of completes the circle. And we're all watching it together, chatting and talking about this.
Yeah.
Really cool. So I don't know who the other person is that's existing right now that's done a demo that's just like one day we'll look back and say, I can't believe what just happened, but I hope they're around. I think it's harder because it's like in physics, there isn't this single.
I think it comes in
Person
waves
discovery.
where there's like a compression of these people, and then there's like a rarefaction where there's nobody, and then it comes back again.
Actually, what I really miss is in like the 80s, like they invented Y-Talk. for like Linux, Linux for Unix computers, and like now people use IM, but I actually like the talk version where you saw people typing in real time. Then they took that away. Now it's like you send little packets, which I understand it's better for the network, but I kind of miss it because it was kind of fun to see like somebody actually type in real time, and you don't have a messaging client that does that.
And he did a demo that coordinated with other people, and they were elsewhere.
Yeah, it's cool.
You can't do that now.
Yeah.
You can't, like, if you go to like CES, like every, my phone, the phones don't work, nothing works.
Yeah.
And everything blows up. So okay.
Go watch that video if you haven't.
Yeah, congratulations, Bobcat. Email support@adafruit.com so you can get your color OLED. We have a new picture of MOSFET this week. He is And that's it, John Engineer. Thank you so much for coming out.
My pleasure.
Right.
And thank you for talking some photos and some engineering.
Sure.
And you shot those Motor Shield photos today.
I did.
Yeah.
Right before this.
Yeah.
And they're glorious. I can't wait to put them in the store.
Okay. We'll see everybody next week. And more new stuff, more cool stuff. And here is your moment of Zener.